You know, it's so funny. Through the whole process, SEC versus Ripple, they just drugged their feet. The SEC took as long as they could to really, cause massive damage to Ripple's business, to the overall cryptocurrency ecosystem, and also to XRP investors. They were just punishing us, making sure that this court case lasted as long as possible. And now that things went badly, they want to fast track an appeal. They want the judge to let them go right now to appeal instead of waiting to the end of the full process here. We see Ripple Labs bites back against SEC's request to file appeal. Ripple saying, no, 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 no. You need extraordinary circumstances to do that, and you don't have that here. And so you need to wait until everything here in this current court case is done, and then we can go to appeal. As you see there, that requirement for extraordinary circumstances, they likely don't have it here. The judge probably does not grant this, but either way, I'm not watching this really closely because in my opinion, it's going to take them so long, even if you start an appeal today, that it's likely not going to matter. Further, I think it would just cement this decision that the SEC just got crushed because the judge gave us the lawful decision. Not the way that she would like it to be, but the fact that the thing being traded is not a security. And so if it's being traded on the open market, well, that's not a securities transaction. It's the law, Gary. I'm sorry. Just to be spiteful, I hope that this is denied and Ripple can really drag their feet and take as long as they wish here, because it's going to take a while to wade through all this stuff. And then we know the appeals process will be quite lengthy. Again, not something that I'm looking at really closely because I don't care. We won, they lost, and that's really all that mattered. Now, when the first news broke out about PayPal, I said, this is a big deal, don't get me wrong. But I'm not sure I'm going to use a PayPal dollar. Like, what's the point? USDC is so big and Tether. But, I'm starting to think maybe there's something here. PayPal's making some interesting moves here. Today it was announced they are partnering with Ledger. So in the Ledger Live app, you can purchase cryptocurrencies directly, leveraging PayPal. Now, the cryptos you can buy is a short list of things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, things like that. Probably will be expanded in the future. I don't know what the fees are here, but it's really cool that they're getting that partnership within the crypto space. They have a lot of infrastructure in their business where they can really build utility with that stablecoin. And this is going to make regulators wake up here. They got to get going. And, we need regulations for stable coins. And I think we're going to get it. It's a tough time right now. We're approaching a year where they're getting ready for elections. It's a tough environment to pass anything, but it has to be done. Cryptocurrencies are going to be vital for the future of finance, for the US dollar standing on the global stage, and you just can't be left behind. I think they actually get it done, and it might be a good time when you don't have one side that has full control because they're going to have to negotiate. We might actually get a better deal there. So only time will tell if it gets done or not, but PayPal, big move here. If they leverage their infrastructure properly, if they make, key partnerships with infrastructure within cryptocurrencies, this could be a big one. And maybe I shouldn't discount the damage they could do and really what they can build here if they play their cards right. Only time will tell, but either way, seeing a traditional kind of player, jump farther into cryptocurrencies just cements what we've been saying, that this is absolutely the future. Now, I saw this article, Bitcoin price will surge past 150,000 if spot ETFs are approved. This is what I would tell you. Big deal. If we get spot Bitcoin ETFs, and it'll roll off to other cryptocurrencies as well. I would be careful to look at like moments in time, whether it's the Ripple court case or the Bitcoin halving. Like these are exact targets where prices will go wild. These are important, events in history that sets the stage for price appreciation and adoption and things like that. But I don't think you're going to see, boom, here's the Bitcoin, ETF approved, and then bam, right to 150. I just don't see it playing exactly like that. Not trying to downplay it. Big deal. I think it gets done, but I don't think that sends us, directly to the moon from there. It's just an important thing to get out of the way, and it opens this space up, and money will start coming in. Adoption will continue to increase. It will open this space up to a new class of investor. Big deal. I just don't think that it's instantaneously that big deal like Tom Lee's saying here with this 150,000 price prediction. again, I think it sets the stage for that. I don't think it happens like on day one. Boom, we got an ETF, off to the moon we go. Even though I'm sure we will see the price, go flying up quite a bit. Just be careful with those singular moments in time. Now, Skybridge, they're disagreeing in a strong way about the Grayscale Bitcoin ETF approval timeline. And what they're saying is like, hey, we're here in this battle. We've been ready for a long time, and you're just going to give approval to Grayscale and Fidelity and all these players, and they're going to capture the market. And we're on the outside looking in, like, how is that fair? Like, we didn't have the same opportunities here. You're going to basically hand everything over to BlackRock, and we're stuck blowing in the wind. By the way, I think that's the way this will play out. I think that's exactly how this will play out. And either BlackRock or Fidelity probably acquires Grayscale in its entirety, but they have reasons to complain here. Look, they want to get that ETF. They had to take the SEC to court and sue them. And I said at the time, I think they will win this battle, but they probably lose the war for that maneuver. I don't think they make it out of this. I think they're going to be left out of the first wave of Bitcoin ETF approvals. And I think Grayscale eventually will have to spin off that Bitcoin ETF trust that they have right now to one of the other big players, which is probably the way it was designed to be. Coinbase finally approved to list crypto futures in the United States. Approval makes Coinbase the first crypto platform to offer regulated and leveraged crypto futures along with traditional spot trading. So this is a big moment for Coinbase as a business. Cryptocurrency exchange Coin can now list crypto futures in the U.S. nearly 2 years after applying for approval. So this has been quite the process. They are finally there. And again, not a product that I'm going to use, but it's probably going to bring a lot of business, a lot of investors into Coinbase, big for their business. And this is what we're going to see, more regulated cryptocurrency trading. And this is one way through those futures contracts that a lot of people will choose to deal with this space. Now, this is interesting, again, about the importance of cryptocurrencies for the future of finance and for, stable coins are going to be really important and things like this. So let's take a look at this interview. This is really important about USDC and its kind of place within cryptocurrencies and within the U.S. financial system.
USDC, courtesy of being designed on open technology and open infrastructure, is available in more than 191 countries and increasingly building permanent bridges between traditional banking and finance and this digital native, always-on internet economy that we're talking about. So I do think there's a strong role of the dollar remaining the reserve currency, not only for the world, but also the currency of reference for responsible payments innovations.
Couple things that he's stating there. Number one, we always think about crypto or stable coins replacing fiat. If you've ever heard Chris Larson talk about this, it actually, for your big currencies like the dollar and the yuan, when done correctly, it will expand its reach. And also we have the need here for these types of technologies because, like he said, it's an always-on, economy. There's no banking hours here. Like, we need to transact anywhere in the globe instantly at any time we choose. That's just the future. And stable coins are one of the ways we can do that. Now, it comes with its drawbacks, of course. That's why we still need crypto. But stable coins are really important, and it's helped crypto grow. And you're going to continue to see expansion and really the inclusion within traditional finance with this technology, stablecoins being a big player there.
And candidly, you do not weaponize a currency. You weaponize the underlying rails on which money moves in the 21st century. So
a lot of times I talk about how the US dollar is weaponized, how we sanction companies, our countries. We use the dollar as a weapon, but really what he's saying is true. It's not the currency that's being weaponized, it's the rails. You unplug someone from the SWIFT financial system. You sanction their bank accounts, all of this kind of stuff. So really those rails are so important. We also have to remember that, yes, the US is in a great position now, but when you look out 10, 20, 30 years, may not always be the case. So you have to have more open financial systems to plan for that eventual future, because I don't care if it's the Roman Empire or the Dutch or whoever, there's always a lifespan to this kind of thing, and you want to be ready to operate when maybe you're not the one doing the sanctioning, when you're not the one, levying bank accounts and seizing assets. This is why this is important, so you can function in that type of environment, because the day will come. I don't know when that is. Maybe it's even not in my lifetime, But there are chances that, you could be looking at a situation 10 or 20 years from now where you're not really in the same position you are right now as the United States, and you have to build for that.
Some reflections on that for the Bretton Woods Committee. And I do think that the requirement of legislation, the requirement of Congress to act is actually pretty critical. And it's not just about de-dollarization trends, it's also about national security interests and other exponential technologies that the US should care about for competing in the 21st century.
You mentioned earlier in our conversation the fact that the U.S. is behind in terms of passing any sort of crypto legislation. In terms of the focus here, why not just look outside the U.S.? Singapore today, for example, which has emerged as this thriving crypto hub, put forth a pretty comprehensive framework around how they plan to regulate stablecoins. So why not just look outside the U.S. because there remains so much uncertainty here?
Before I let him answer that, I talk a lot about how the United States is behind, and it can be very frustrating when you're really into this technology and you can see the future and the way it will play out. One thing we have to remember, the U.S. has the most to lose, and that's why they're really dragging their feet. We have the biggest capital market by a country mile. They have to protect that. Cryptocurrencies, of course, threaten that. And further again, like we're talking about, we have this stranglehold on payments, and we weaponize the rails the dollars go over. And so they don't want to give up that power, but they're going to have to. There's no way out of this. And so if you're not, really careful and you're cutting it close here, you're going to fall far behind more advanced countries, and they'll start pulling away from you. We're already seeing that. And that's why I think we're going to see this push for crypto regulations. It'll be, broken up in parts and pieces, stable coins first, probably, then the classification of crypto assets, things like this, DeFi, wallets, all sorts of stuff is going to be rolling out over the next couple of years, but they got to get going. Now is absolutely the time.
Well, I would argue that Circle has taken a view, candidly, of a yes and approach to growth internationally, so that we could build a business inside the United States and also make that business and that business model an export product around the world. As you may know, we are a major payments institution in Singapore, so we're not only a beneficiary of the policy developments that were announced today by the Monetary Authority of Singapore, we're also an operating company, and we've made Singapore our Southeast Asian headquarters. We're also seeking a major license in France to be able to live and operate under the European market and crypto asset framework rules. And so wherever strong rules go, good investors and long-range companies like Circle follow suit. But I don't think it is a growth internationally at the expense of the United States. I think both things can happen in lockstep, and that's very much the posture that we have taken in engagement in Washington and inside the United States as well.
This is an idea that drives people wild, especially when Ripple is having all the problems. They're like, well, why don't they just leave the United States? Well, you can already have success in the easy territories, the ones that have sensible regulations. Like if you're having problems in the US, fighting with regulators, fighting with politicians, doesn't mean you can't be successful in Singapore and, various territories that have clear laws. Great, build your business there. But the ultimate winners here are the ones that are going to be able to figure out the markets in the US, in India, in China. That's where you ultimately want to succeed if you're going to grow to maximum potential. You can't just start cutting out that percentage of the world population. It's massive. The US economy, the Chinese economy, the Indian economy. You don't want to say, well, they're tough, so we're just going to leave. Like, that's not a good policy. So yes, you want to go out there and go into those friendly territories, build the future, but you got to try to figure out how to make this all work in the really tough markets. And ultimately, those will be your true winners who build the biggest systems out there. And you can't be global while you're chopping up, big parts of the globe. If you can't interact with dollars in the United States, that's not a great global payment system. So you have to work, even though it's very frustrating, with U.S. regulators and politicians to get this done, because that's the ultimate prize there, to attack those markets on top of the ones you're already having success with.
A lot of my reporting has taken me outside the U.S., and there seems to be this universal hunger for alternative payment systems. I spoke to people across the continent who said that, Tether transactions on Tron are a lot cheaper and more effective than turning to legacy payment rails in Africa. I just wonder whether you can speak to how stablecoins fit into this narrative of alternative payment systems that could, potentially eclipse what's already facilitating international transactions.
Totally. Well, look, in my vantage point, I mean, one of the main reasons I'm in this industry altogether is because we have unfinished work in the banking and payment sector. If to be banked around the world hinges on traditional brick and mortar infrastructure and traditional banking, then billions of people would be on the margins. And that void is being filled, and in not all cases by responsible regulated products, but that void nonetheless is being filled. And so, in the same way that you saw a takeoff of messaging apps around the world, and particularly in emerging and developing countries, stablecoins are an interesting analogy to what mobile telephony was to being a part of the telecommunications wave. Mobile telephony has also created pathways for mobile banking and mobile money, and digital currencies are exactly that next breakthrough. I don't think this is revolution. I think it's evolution. People want dollars. They want dollars to be safe. And they're voting with their digital wallets, if you will, on that posture. And so much of the breakthrough innovation is actually global and in cross-border payments as well.
You know, these people that may have, not big mortgages and credit card debt and are very profitable to banks. They're left, again, like you said, on the margins. And we need to have systems that include them. We talked about this a million times. Always good to remember, 2017, 2018, people went, oh, if we have stable coins, we don't need crypto. Again, it's a different tool for a different job. You have a lot of problems, right, with stable coins. Most of them can be frozen, confiscated. You have to trust that someone's holding the backing that they claim they are. Like, stable coins aren't perfect, but they're really good for a lot of jobs out there. And then, you backstop everything with your cryptocurrencies. That's what will fill out this system. And you have truly decentralized assets that can't be debased, things like this. So it's all part of this overarching puzzle. Look for massive moves in stable coins, whether it's PayPal, Circle, and I'm sure other people will flow in here because it's a great business, right? Like, especially in this environment where we can get the types of yields we can by holding your money. Like, I don't have to give you any of that interest when you park your money in a more usable currency, whether it's PayPal, dollar, or USDC. Like, as you're zipping over these digital dollars all over the globe, I'm making interest on your money. So it is quite a good business for those people as well that launch these systems. They need to be regulated. We need oversight. We need to make sure that the money's actually sitting in those accounts, backstopping these coins. But we're getting there, and it's coming close. Let me know what you think down below. And as always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.